Go ahead and type your troop number into the chat so we can kind of take attendance. And I'm going to hand it over real quick to Jim McNamara, our Scout Executive, for a little quick intro.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for participating in our Zoom call tonight. I want to thank you especially for selecting Camp Alexander as your summer camp experience. We are just so excited that we can run summer camp this year. The fact that summer camp was closed last year is a bummer to all of us. I know that. And we're just excited to have camp. This will be the 75th anniversary for Camp Alexander. So it's going to be a really, really special year. We're busy right now putting together a great staff and a great program. We have a great food vendor, so the food's going to be fabulous too. But I want you to know above all, we're putting together a safe camp. So we're taking the steps that are required by the state of Colorado's law. We're taking a few extra steps too, and I hope you'll respect that, because we know many of you come from far distance, and we don't want you to come to a camp that 2 days in end up getting closed and have to send everyone home. That's the last thing we want to do. So if we can provide a safe camp from day one, you're going to have a great summer camp experience, and we want to ensure you do that. So much of the program tonight will talk about the steps we're going to take to keep COVID out of camp and keep your scouts safe. That's our number one priority. I'm happy to introduce the first person who spoke was Brandon Vavra. He's our Assistant Scout Executive, and he oversees our camp operations, amongst other things. And you're going to hear a lot tonight from Diana Kashuba. She's our Program Director, and she's running camp, and she's going to oversee all the camp staff and the whole operation. And she's doing a great job. So we're so lucky to have the two of them involved in leading our camp. Just a couple thoughts. Baden Powell said that a week of camp life is worth 6 months of theoretical teaching in a meeting room. Knowing our kids haven't even been in classrooms much this past year, just think about how important this week of summer camp is going to be to your scouts. Might be the most important week they have of summer camping. So with that in mind, thank you to each of you for taking time to come and volunteer your time at camp. I know many of you travel long distance, so you got 1 or 2 days on both ends of travel. So I know it's a time commitment. So thank you very, very much for doing that. I hope you are as excited to come to camp as we are to have you. And again, I just thank you for picking Camp A. So with that, I will kick it back to Brandon.
All right. Yeah, we're going to get going here. A lot of what we're going to be talking about tonight is going to be COVID related. So everyone's favorite topic, I'm sure. So I'm going to kind of start off and talk about a few of the things and then hand it over. So it is important to note that precautions cannot fully eliminate the potential exposure to COVID-19 or any other illness while at Camp Alexander. People with COVID-19 may show no signs or symptoms of the illness, as I think we all know by now, but can still spread the virus, and people may be contagious before their symptoms occur. And it is possible that somebody with COVID-19 might pass all the required health screenings and be allowed into camp. And that is why we have a lot of precautions. So you just need to evaluate your unique circumstances and make informed decisions. So moving on here, this is this little picture here. This is the Swiss cheese model, as we like to call it here. But every step of the way, there's no one surefire method to protect ourselves from COVID-19 or any other communicable disease. But we have a lot of things that help to lessen the opportunity that COVID sneaks into camp. So as you've all seen, testing before you come, testing or vaccinations before you come, and personal hygiene, washing hands, masking up, social distancing, everything like that. So hopefully we are able to severely eliminate COVID-19 issues. So I do want to I think we announced last Friday that everyone would need proof of a negative COVID test at least 72 hours prior to departing for travel. And we've heard, I think our biggest question initially was, wait, we're taking longer than that to get to camp or something like that. So to make it just hopefully clear, you need a test no more than 72 hours before you depart for camp. So when you're in that church parking lot loading up your troop in the vans, no one gets on that van without a negative result on a test that is no more than 3 days old. And that is kind of that metric. We have people coming from coast to coast and beyond this summer. We have campers or staff members from 15 states and 2 foreign countries. So it is important that we don't turn Camp Alexander into a giant petri dish. So use that metric and your own common sense of travel, of making sure no one gets in a van. You don't travel here before you've got that negative test. Nobody should be, oh, I'm going to get my test results on the way. Don't do that. Don't expose the rest of everyone to the unknown. But I'm going to pass it over to Diana to talk about several things here next. So take it away.
Yep. Thanks, Brandon. So I've had a lot of questions, and I'm sorry if I repeat myself within a couple of these slides, but we just want to make sure everyone has the facts and what we're doing and why we're doing it. So the first thing is cohorts. A lot of people have asked, your cohorts or your troop. It is your unit that you're traveling with. So like Brandon said, we want you to have that negative test for all of your scouts or proof of vaccination. So 16 and older, if they can get a vaccination, if they want it, they can get it. All adults, we're suggesting if you can get it. If not, we need a proof of negative test or your vaccination card. So either one of those would work. Once you travel, you'll be traveling together. Just make sure that you know that once you get to camp, your cohort will be your unit in your campsite, when you're eating, and when you're on your buses or doing activities like that. Now, what that means is also when you leave your campsite, that's why we're asking you to have your mask, because once you leave your campsite, you're no longer with your cohort. We're still doing merit badges normally, and you will have distancing. We're asking for social distancing, bring a camping chair, have your mask, so we can still do normal merit badge classes. I'd hate to have those kids that are Eagle Scouts have to sit through Trail to First Class because we have to be in a cohort. I don't want to do that. Let's give the opportunity for our kids to have normal merit badges. But with that, once you leave that campsite, make sure you have your mask on if you cannot, and then social distance from other people that are not in your unit. Okay, Brandon? Okay, so the screening, like Brandon said, we need a negative test 72 hours before you leave. Just make sure you have proof of a negative test before you guys get in that vehicle. We're also asking for parents for 2 weeks or that 10 days, that 10-day period before you're getting ready to leave. Have those parents on the back of your leader guide was a temperature check. We're asking parents at home to kind of try to limit. We know that it's not impossible to cancel. You still got to go to school. We've got graduation parties. We've got things coming up. But try to limit your exposure. Try to convince them not to go to those big concerts, the big movie theaters, things like that. Try to limit your exposure, stay in your family pod up to 10 days before you travel. And with that, we're asking parents just to check their kids. The temperature checks every day for 10 days. We know kids at this age group are going to have a temperature every once in a while. It's possible, and it's probably not COVID. We have kids that are turning 11 and 12 that are getting those back molders, and our doctors know that sometimes older scouts, even teenagers, can get a spike fever for an unknown reason. But if I have that checklist, then that will tell me, well, little Johnny got the fever on Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before you guys left for camp, he was fine. So that gives my doctors a good base to making sure that everyone's healthy. Brandon? Okay. So the next biggest question we've gotten is, oh my gosh, you're asking us to get a test. What's that going to cost? This website here, and Brandon's going to share that in the chat room, and then we're also going to share that, we can share that through email. This will give you a site of where to go to get tested. They're all through public health. We looked into Texas, we've looked into Oklahoma, we looked at other states to make sure these are covering all your states and cities. Will tell you where you can go to get that COVID test for no cost. These are all through the public health services, and most of them will give you your test results by email. Okay, and then we ask you to make sure you take that test and have those kids print it, because the internet is not so great up in our canyon, and I don't want you to get up there and can't open up that email. So you can print those tests off, and most of them, to all of them, everyone that I've seen, and I've taken it 3 times this year, unfortunately, because I have an athlete, those tests come through your email, okay? So that is a big thing. You can go through a healthcare provider. There may be a cost if you are more comfortable wanting to go to your regular doctor, or if you can. Some are not taking pre-travel tests, but all the public health ones are, and they will give you your test with no cost. Okay. Here are the forms that we were talking about. This is your pre-COVID check event screening. This was created by the BSA. I'm not reinventing the wheel. This comes right off of our BSA, Boy Scouts of America website. This is just a symptoms check, and even a normal check to make sure that kids don't have a flu or things like that. If they are sick, we're asking you, do not let them get in that bus. Do not let them get on that van, okay? Huge and critical. Next thing is the temperature check. This one doesn't have the temperature ones on it. My form that you did get in your leader guide did. We have a day 1, day 2, day 3. Make sure the temperatures are on the other side of it, and have parents sign it, and then your unit leader sign it on the bottom once you receive it before you get in the van. Okay. All right. Immunization records. I have to apologize to you guys. So back in March, I did send out this form on our leader guide. This is the form that our county and our state licensing lady gave us. And then we used an older form in the new packet that we just sent out on last Friday. This form though, this is the form that we need filled out for immunizations from our child care licensing lady. There is a signature spot on the bottom. Most doctors, if you fill it out as a parent, most doctors will check it and go, yeah, and then sign the bottom of it. But we also ask you to take that with you to your physicals with your Boy Scouts of America health form. But the biggest thing is having this form filled out by the parents and signed by the doctors. If you have one of the older forms, please don't panic. Bring that with you. We can have our doctor look at it and possibly have him sign off on it. But we have to have an immunization form. So this is critical because this is what our child care licensing lady is looking for, that every youth member has on our campsite. All right, so the pre-illness sickness, just once again, if you have a sick kid, do not let them get in the vans. Just make sure that you check everyone, make sure the parents are checking. Let's be safe. Temperatures, just be aware, checking temperatures, checking for illnesses as you go. If you get to camp, there's a good possibility our physician will double check. And if there's something critical, he's gonna have rapid testing for those scouts. We also have a rapid tested permission slip that needs to be done just in case we have a kid that's there and he gets really sick. Okay. Okay. Kind of talked about this before. We're asking for everyone just to be cautious. Pre-checks, pre-test, all of that stuff. Have proof of your negative test before coming to camp. Social distancing as you travel. Try to plan out your trips with your parents, making sure they know to try to avoid those big areas, big parties prior to coming to camp. As you travel, just kind of make sure that you're looking at the map as you come and try to avoid those really big traffic areas for stops and restrooms, just social distancing prior to camp. Okay. Hand sanitizer. I know it's crazy, but we're asking everyone to have hand sanitizer in their car per every vehicle. If you have it on bus, they sell the little ones at Walmart for the kids if they want to have them on their backpack. That's critical, just so we can keep because you cannot avoid stops. You guys are gonna have to stop, especially if you guys are coming all the way from California or Texas. So have that hand sanitizer for those kids when they're coming out of that restroom before they getting back in the vehicles. Okay. Just avoid those people you don't know. Keep your face coverings on when you're in your rest areas. Going into restaurants, if you can, try to go through drive-through, possibly for food. I know I don't want a lot of food in my vehicles, but for this year, it might be a good idea to hit those drive-throughs this year, okay? And just kind of avoid those big areas and do checks with all of your vehicles, okay, as you're going along. Okay. Once again, avoiding those big areas and public areas, keeping with your unit, try to keep everyone together. It's a good possibility when you're traveling. Try to avoid, I know some of you are coming in big buses and vans. Make sure that you have spacing in between seats follow your the company's guidelines as well. I know they will have some. And just make sure that you have those spacing out if you are taking the big buses, but we are suggesting if you can caravan, do the parents take different vehicles, okay? But with that, use the buddy system. Just like in Cub Scouts, we want to use the Boy Scouts to do Scouts BSA to do that buddy system. So if you know that you have these 3 scouts that are going to be in the tent together, or these 3 scouts are doing merit badges together, excuse me, make sure that they're the ones in that van or sitting next to each other on that bus. So buddy system is crucial because that way we'll limit the exposure to the other scouts. Okay. All right, check in at camp. It's gonna be a little different this year. We were gonna, at our gateway, we're gonna have scheduled times, and you'll get that scheduled time here before you come to camp of when we average time on when we need you to be at camp. Okay, when you get there, make sure everyone's getting out of their vehicles or off that bus with their face covering. We're gonna have chairs, tables, and tents, so it's not too hot. We don't want you guys to get overheated, and then we'll make sure that we'll have our medical team there. They'll start doing their check-in process. We want you to have all those forms. You already have mailed in all your medical forms. What we need is that paper of proof of vaccination or proof of your negative test, that parent checklist, and your pre-checklist for your scouts. And then our doctors will do the pre-check for the COVID. And after that, they're gonna go ahead and start doing the regular BSA checklist as they go through and have everyone check their medical forms, check in medication. We'll have a lock box there for medication. And once you're done with our medical team at our gateway, you're in camp. Camp's a bubble and you'll be in there. And then our medical team will take all of that information back up to the health lodge. So once you've cleared the gate, you will have cleared your medical check, okay? Next. Okay, dining.
Right. Okay. Hey, just because there's a lot of activity in the chat about the immunization form. So the immunization form, and we sent out an email today, and it was totally our mistake. There was some miscommunications about which form. The one that was in the leader packet prior to last Friday, and the one that is in the leader packet as of this morning, is the official form that is the most ideal. If you use the form that was in the leader packet sometime in the last week, don't worry about a second doctor appointment. We will just deal with whatever the child care folks tell us. It was a pre-approved form for Scout Councils in Colorado. It just is no longer approved since some things have changed. So don't worry about extra appointments.
I have one question here about the Part C immunization form count. It does not count for Colorado. It hasn't in years because we're a child care licensing. It has to be on that Colorado form.
The Part C is still required for the BSA. It's a whole thing that we try to deal with. So anyway, dining. If you've never been to Camp Alexander before, just to let you know, our dining hall is this nice, cool old building, but it is kind of an older building, and our dining hall is pretty small and kind of tight. So unfortunately, we are not going to be able to do full dining indoors. So the great part is the weather's great in the summertime at Camp Alexander, and we're going to be doing dining outdoors. So we'll be serving meals in the same place we have been, which is just outside the front doors on kind of our deck. And then dining will occur outdoors. So units will eat together inside your cohort. You're going to arrive together, you're going to sit together, you're going to eat together, and you're going to leave together. And you're going to make sure you leave a nice, tidy place when you leave. So we do ask that you, and you should be sitting in the same place each day and each meal, and not interacting with other units during that eating time. And you'll have some assigned arrival times and spaced out in line and stuff like that. So in the case of inclement weather, we'll have some limited dining indoors at the dining hall. We'll have some tents out there, large kind of army style tents that will be where we can have some dining under the tarps essentially, and then a little bit out in the kiva. So there's some space in the region for dining. So that's probably one of the biggest programmatic issues. Camp gatherings. So we can't have like full camp gatherings very well. Units are encouraged to conduct their own flags in your campsites. All of our campsites have a flagpole. We're not going to be able to congregate all of our units at flags at once, especially with that's kind of the area we'll be using for dining. So and so we encourage you to kind of get back to some basics and work with your kids and do some of that. Check off some requirements. And campfires, we're still working out our final details. If you've been to Camp Alexander, you know we have our Kiva, which is a really cool building. It's a round brick building with a partial roof. It's super, super cool. It's just not super cool during the time of COVID. So unfortunately, we can't cram everybody in there. And so we're working on exactly how we're gonna do a campfire situation. Whether that's gonna be a traveling show from some staff and working with your troops to do in campsite campfires or smaller parade field type campfires. We still wanna have that aspect of scout camp, but we'll see. So changing, we're coming up to May 12th is kind of a big deadline for us as far as kind of finalizing camper counts so that we can do our final orders and solidify our program supplies and everything like that. And that's the day when all your money is due. If you have a need to remove campers, keep in mind, we don't really do refunds. We do transfer of fees. So, you know, if you need to remove somebody, we take them off. Their fees remain in your unit account, and those you use that in lieu before paying more for your final payment. So if you need to remove campers, you can write this down. You need to contact me. If you paid your first deposits and first payments for 20 scouts and you're only going to have 18 and need to remove a couple, you contact me, brandon.vavra@scouting.org or 719-219-2910. And if you need to add some campers, some of the weeks still have the ability to do that yourself. And some of them we're kind of butting up against capacity levels in campsites. And so you may need to contact Diana if that functionality has been turned off for your week. So unless you're in, I think, weeks 1, 5, or 8, that's been turned off for you. So you need to contact Diana. So that's that. And merit badge registration, your unit must be fully paid and all your scouts have full payments in the system before they can sign up for merit badges. And you must have all the scout participant information entered into the system. They won't, if it still says empty slot, like they all started, you won't be able to sign that person up for classes. So they do need information in there. Registration will open, merit badge registrations will open on May 12th at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. No, I don't believe your Scout BSA number is required in that, just name and date of birth. And I think that's the only two that are absolutely required. And then an instruction video on how to sign up for those merit badges will be coming. If you've seen the other instruction videos, it'll walk you through. So this system does have the functionality to allow your scouts to sign themselves up for camp or merit badges, or you can do it all. Some units feel very differently about how they want to handle that, but we'll issue instructions on both. So our program guide that was released, program/leader guide. We use those terms interchangeably. That was released last Friday. It's got full details, and the classes are all in there. So as far as COVID goes, our classes are primarily occur outdoors, and campers will be required to distance and wear masks during classes. Obviously, not if it's a safety issue like in aquatics. So we do encourage campers to bring a camp chair or stool so that they can sit during their class and still maintains the social distancing. And obviously we encourage your scouts to go to class with their buddy. So ride in the van with their buddy, tent with their buddy, and go to class with their buddy as much as possible. And we know that doesn't always work exactly, but as much as possible. And that's kind of the program aspect of it. Our final program is in the program guide, what we're able to provide with the classes. So a few things that from prior years weren't able to provide this year. So I do want to make a note on altitude sickness and dehydration. Altitude sickness is always an issue at Camp Alexander. We're at 8,200 feet. Most of our units are coming from lower than that. And it is very important that you take care of your scouts and your scouts take care of themselves and understand how this works. So altitude sickness presents itself, and it can present itself in similar ways as COVID-19. And it is important that you combat altitude sickness as much as possible. Some units like to come in early and get ready and sort of acclimatize to the elevation. Our camp is but staying hydrated is one of the best ways to combat it. And so we are really asking our leaders, please do your best. Every year we have scouts that show up and they've drank nothing but soda and eaten candy for the last 2 days on the way. So please, oh please, please have your scouts just drinking water on the way to camp on your 2-day drive or however long it's going to take you to get here. And all scouts should really bring their water bottle and drink water regularly. With a fairly regular mask wearing at camp, it's really easy. I'm sure you've all realized by now, it's really easy to just forget to drink water when you're wearing your mask. So it is going to be really important that everyone help keep and remind everybody to drink water. So with that, that's the big stuff that we really wanted to highlight tonight. We do have plenty of time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat, and we're ready to. Diana and I will kind of bounce back off. I did see a refund policy on a positive COVID-19 test. Yes, if someone unfortunately tests positive for COVID-19, you cannot bring them to camp. Do not allow them in your van, and that is a medical reason to not be able to come to camp. So they would be eligible for a refund, and there is a refund form in our leader guide. So.
The masks are required for Outback. Once again, there are some higher adventure activities. If they're social distancing as they hike, or if the unit for that week is all the same kids from the same unit, that may look a little different. That's a situation by situation group, but they won't have to wear their mask the entire time. We have smaller groups for that. But that is a by situation, and we'll talk as we get closer to camp for the Outback people. But they will need masks just like everyone else, just to have during closer times and dinner and walking and things like that.
Quick question here. There was a HIPAA question in mailing the forms. Colorado requires us to have your medical forms in hand, and they do require them to be. So right now our BSA email servers aren't compliant really, so please do not email that stuff. We're not allowed to receive them like that. If you feel like you need to overnight them or FedEx them or something like that, you can. Make sure you're sending them to the address stated in the leader guide.
If you need to, we can have it be signed, and it could be signed on arrival, and I could sign that too to protect that a little bit more for HIPAA too. But our doctors have to have that in hand for several reasons coming to Colorado, so we can make sure you have everything you need before you leave that state. So if you're missing something or missing a signature, I can call you, or my doctors can call you. But the doctors by Colorado licensing law have to look at that paperwork a week prior to you guys coming. So all my medical, those forms come here and they immediately go to our doctors. We're looking at 30 to 45 minutes per unit. It all depends on scheduling and how fast we can move. We have a big parking lot. So if we have one or more than one group show up, we will be spreading you out between the parking lot before you go into our camp. So
a copy of your vaccination card is acceptable.
Yes.
a digital copy of your troop picture. I think we can probably work out something. We're working on some opportunities to have some of those digitally available via our website after camp. So, scout on contract to carry form. So that is emergency medications only. I don't know. It depends.
That is for, that does work for EpiPens, diabetes, and allergy medication that's not over the counter. But you have to have that carry form. And I know I've had a couple kids call about the diabetes. Just make sure those notes are on the medical form, and my team is on board to make sure that those things, especially the medication, gets straight up to the refrigerator. So if you have kids coming with diabetes and you know you have that medication, please let us know the moment you get out of that vehicle, so I can have one of our EMTs run that up to the refrigerator. It's very critical. I don't want any of that medicine sitting out.
Exposure quarantine requirement. Public health actually has the final say on they essentially come in and say, these people need quarantine, these people do not. So please, oh please, we really do not want to go down the route of medical tent city. So please help us patrol things this summer. Parents arriving last day to pick up their scout. Sometimes that happens maybe with a local unit. They just need to limit their exposure while they're here and get their scout. We'll have information about that essentially.
Yeah, we'll have a good check-in process. Let us know if you have those parents coming in, so we're aware before coming into our camp.
Colorado immunization forms need to be mailed in a week before arrival. So that information is in your leader guide on all of your medical forms need to be mailed in. And I think we state in the leader guide closer to 14 days or something like that. By law, we need our hands on them 10 days prior. And I think we ask that you mail them off pretty early so that we have them, so that we can get them. You mail them here to our office, and then we once a week take them to camp, and then our medical folks take a look at them and contact if things are missing. So all that information is in the leader guide on exactly what you need, but we have a backdated schedule for you on Wednesday.
Yep, and the FedEx is okay. Signatures are okay. UPS, whatever way you want to get it to us, that you guys feel comfortable and safe, please just make sure that they get in the mail.
Do not mail them to our camp. Mail them to our office.
Do not mail them to the office. Yes.
Yeah. Swim test administers on site. We will have opportunities for swim tests if you can't find an open pool. If you can do them at home before you come, please do. That really helps to manage the workload at camp.
Late check-in, please, guys. I have an open phone. You guys have my phone number, have my email. Be in communications as we start giving those scheduled times. Let us know when you're leaving. Let us know your average time is showing up so we can schedule those. I will work with you guys. There's not really a cutoff until I get every single unit into camp. So just be open communication with us, and we will work with you to make sure that you have a scheduled check-in time and that you're there and you're not there too late.
Being asked to expand on quarantines, like I said, we have to be prepared to quarantine for 10 to 14 days if someone tests positive while at camp. But it's public health. We notify public health if we get a positive COVID case, and public health they are the final say on who quarantines and for how long. So
we are not treating this like a troop camping trip. You are still going to get merit badges. You can still travel through camp. You can still take different merit badges. You will be eating at our dining hall outside, but by the parade fields. We're going to be doing regular camp. That's why we got all these precautions into place. So you can have normal camp. You're just going to have it with a mask when you come upon someone that's not in your unit, guys. It is Camp BSA. We're going to have flags. We're hoping to have some type of campfire, even if it's a traveling show. We're doing our best to have as close to normal as possible, but just wear a mask.
All scouts have to be in merit badge classes for each session. We do ask that scouts sign up for each particular session. It is only 4 sessions and it's Monday through Thursday. If you have some other reason that your troop doesn't want to do that for a particular session or something, we do ask that you're managing scouts and they're not just wandering around camp doing their own thing. So.
Yep. Okay.
Something about leaders not being able to take the risk. We highly recommend our leaders get vaccinated before you come. If a particular leader can't come and you need to adjust your adult count, we can do that. We suggest you find a new one to take their place.
Yep.
Whitewater rafting is absolutely still available. You do have to transport yourself to the rafting company, and you can book it all through them directly. There's information in our leader guide. And so please, if you're interested to raft, hit it up. It's going to be amazing water this year.
Okay. Question came up with the whitewater rafting. If you sign up, we will be giving you a breakfast in the morning before you leave, right at 7, and then you will get a bag lunch to go with you as well. So you'll have that provided. We will be giving that to you. I think the Echo Canyon called me today too, and they were saying that there's some units calling that there are some really great activities to do after you're done because you guys are all traveling down there with your car. So do some activities. You can go see some great things before coming back to camp. I'm okay. You're not on a time crunch coming back to camp as long as you're there before dinner. If you're not there for dinner, you may have to look at something else for dining, but absolutely check out our beautiful Colorado while you're down there at Echo Canyon.
Yeah, Echo Canyon is right near the Royal Gorge, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Rapid testing. Yes, rapid testing, home testing. We're not asking for any particular company. We're just asking you to have a negative test. Wherever you guys can get it, go get it done.
Asking about COVID requirements being reevaluated as we get closer to camp. It is possible. I know we all see CDC relaxing requirements. We are beholden to the state of Colorado and childcare requirements. So the majority of people at camp are ineligible for vaccines, and they also make up the fastest growing new caseload and hospitalizations across the country. So it is extremely important that we keep our kids safe, and our staff safe, and our leaders safe. And so we hope that maybe some things will relax. If you were coming in the first couple of weeks, I would expect this is what it's going to be. If you're toward the end of summer, maybe some things will be reevaluated. Maybe even vaccines available for more of our scouts. So
yeah. Please be aware, I'm working with our staff very closely. Over half of our staff have been vaccinated now. A lot of our staff will be, I would say, good 8% vaccinated, but I can't force them to get that. But if they don't get the vaccination, they will have a negative test every week. So my doctor's on that with the staff, and we're encouraging our staff not to leave this summer. So we're going to have a lot of quality time there on Saturday and Sunday. So please be aware that we are making sure that our staff are negative tested or vaccinated, and we're trying to keep them safe, and we're trying to keep you guys safe and making sure that none of them bring it in as well.
vaccinated people subject to quarantine, we would defer to public health. Again, with quarantine, they are the final say. I would imagine they don't, but I don't work for public health. And where it would happen, we have to be prepared to provide a kind of medical tent city. We are prepared to provide it. We really do not want to.
I really don't want it, guys.
And if you get to stay at Medical Tent City, that's on our time. So don't worry if your parents are worried about that. We'll get plenty of camp food and yeah.
Okay. I feel like it went quicker tonight, Brandon. Let's see what
Yeah.
else we got.
Over-the-counter seasonal, yeah, allergy, yes, yeah. Over-the-counter medications will be available. You know, if you have a scout that has a particular brand allegiance, they might bring it with them, but they likely won't get that stuff back. So don't send too much, especially allergy meds, as they get kind of pricey. So. And they really take up space, so please don't.
Yes, we are still going to have our steak dinner. Once again, it's a look a little different. We're going to be in a different location. We're going to keep it outside. You probably will not be indoors when we have our steak dinner. It's going to be outdoor picnic area. And we're still going to have it. It's going to be fun. Hoping our Brandon or Jim can come up once a week as well for that. It's going to be fun.
Bringing personal bikes, yep, we do allow that. Make sure you bring a helmet and a buddy with a bike. Splitting weeks, we really ask that your adult leaders, we're trying to make camp as much of a bubble as possible. So we ask that your leaders are your leaders for the week, and you don't divide the week. And the real issue there is it becomes kind of a, especially this year, we're not allowed to have visitors. So we really can't have unit leaders coming and then leaving and then coming back. That's the real big issue. As far as splitting the week, we are looking at adding an option to have kind of a per night cost for some leaders. But right now we need all the people that are going to be there for the duration paid in full by May 12th. So. Limitation on splitting the week is our medical staff. It really becomes a significant, if we're having people coming and going every week, every day, medical staff check-ins, it becomes a big workload because we have extra check-in procedures this year.
You do not have to have a negative test if you have your vaccination card, is what our doctor has said. You have to have one or the other. You don't have to have both. If you have vaccination, you don't have to be tested. You just have to have proof of your vaccination card, guys.
Troop trailer drop off. Yep. They could come in, drop the trailer and leave. And that. If you're an outback, you will not be with the rest of your troop. They camp in a different section of the property. There's a question here about, Camp Bubble and Echo Canyon rafting. So when it's a bit of an extension of the bubble, you're going to travel there with the people that you've been with all week. You will follow their very extreme guidelines while there. You're going to raft in the same raft as them, and then you're going to come back. If you do choose to go see something, we ask that you don't go to a place and see something. All that stuff is very outdoors, and please limit exposure. That is on Friday, and you'll be heading out Saturday. If you're traveling by bus, how do you get your gear to the campsite? We have a trailer that we can help you do that. Adults can pitch tents in the campsite. Yes. The Outback program is our high adventure program. We have a page about it on our website at campalexanderbsa.org. It's our high adventure program for older youth. They camp away from the rest, and they do a very Colorado experience.
Got a question here about vaccinations. Yes, this is a child care licensing rule. I didn't know want it. I think it's a lot. We have it on our BSA policy, but the Colorado Child Care Licensing rules and Our Lady who does inspections are looking for that form. I have to have that form with immunizations on it. Parents can fill it out. A lot of doctors will sign it afterwards just to make sure that it's correct. Some will just sign it and give it to the parent and say, hey, here, go fill it out. That's a lot for me. But we're just making sure the child care licensing lady knows that your vaccinations are up to date. That's the biggest thing, but it has to be on that Colorado license form, guys. I didn't want it. The licensing is telling me I have to have it.
Age for Outback is 13 and up. It's when we say older scouts, that's what we mean. So
The allergy medication, you have to have, there's a form for carry medication. That medication is for EpiPens, diabetic medication, and over-the-counter allergy medication, but it has to be on that form for medication carry, and that also has to be signed by a doctor. If you have a child that has allergies, talk to your doctor, take that Colorado carry form with you. That tells my nurses and my doctors that they are allowed to carry it. If they don't bring it, my nurses are going to take that medication away from the child. And one thing too about medications, for prescription medications, please bring it in the bottle that was given to you by the pharmacy. Do not bring it in a pill bottle with the little date on it. Do not put it in a Ziploc bag. We have to have the actual prescription bottle with the medication that matches that bottle. It has to be in it. Please remember that. We have a lot of that. If you come with a Ziploc bag of medication, my nurse is going to have to throw it away, and I do not want to do that. Bring it in the pill bottle from the pharmacy with your name and your address.
question here about parents signing and submitting the last page for acknowledgement on the COVID-19 update. There's a page at the end of the COVID plan that parents have to acknowledge that they have read and understand our COVID mitigation plan. So yes, not can they submit it, but they must submit it. Mm-hmm. The carry medication form is also in the chunk of medical documents, and we apologize. There's a lot of forms in there that need to be turned in.
If you don't see it, please call me and I will email it to you right away.
It's in
in there.
the leader guide in the documents.
So the only vaccination or all I need is the COVID test for adults. All of these immunization records are only for youth.
The stuff that's on the Part C BSA medical is sufficient for adults.
Yes.
I think it's.
Yes.
All right, last call for questions. We have another one of these starting in 9 minutes. We want to thank you all for coming out. Yes, adults need COVID test results or a vaccination card. Highly prefer the vaccination card. We do want to thank everybody for coming out. We are excited for camp. I know there's some extra stresses this year that we're all dealing with, but we're excited to be able to provide a great camp opportunity, and excited to have you all celebrate our 75th anniversary with us. So thank you very much. Gear to your site if you travel by bus was that we'll have a trailer that'll help you transport your stuff on check-in day. So thank you all. Have a great night.